Okay, it's a little after 7 on February the 16th. I'd like to call the February 16th special call public hearing meeting of the Planning Commission to order. Who's going to be doing roll tonight? Okay, Ms. Grover, call roll, please.
Mr. Slater?
Here.
Ms. Height?
Here.
Mr. Wagner?
Here.
Mr. Greenwood?
Here.
And Mr. Braden?
Here, thank you very much. Before we review and adopt the meeting agenda, the only thing currently on the agenda is the public hearing. The applicant is not here. We have a very long-standing practice of not conducting public hearings with the applicant not being here in case you have questions. So we take this opportunity, a lot's been happening. We had a joint meeting with Board of Supervisors and the Economic Development Authority on Monday. And we're currently set up for March the 9th for a meeting with the Economic Development Authority, and then the 10th for a special citizens meeting, not to mention our regular March 1st meeting. So we've got plenty of time to get together in the coming weeks. Is there anything we want to discuss while we wait for the applicant to begin the public hearing? Anything on the comprehensive plan, anything that happened on Monday or?
Well, we have a little bit of time, not doing anything, I'll just bring a couple things to your attention, if you said, that I had looked at all in the meeting the other night, in regard to the discussion that Mr. Rhodes had about the whether the people that work outside of the county and so forth. And I just looked at the figures, and it looked like we have 12,888 people employed in the county. We have 1,269 that live and work in King William. 2,745 that commute into King William, and 8,874 that commute out. So what we end up with is there are only 4,014 jobs available in King William. So, and 2,700 of those are people coming into the county. So the big issue there is we don't have jobs here in the county. We don't have anything to employ people. So if there are not enough jobs available, but what can we do about it here when that comes? That's Mr. Rogers.
Right, and again,
Discuss this more.
a part of what the EDA is trying to do is continue the discussion after public hearing. Again, a part of what the EDA wants to do is to bring more jobs in to help them balance out. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adopt the meeting agenda. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion to approve the agenda. Do a second? Got a motion, probably second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, before we open up the public hearing, Ms. Graham, would you or a member of your team speak to the proffer amendment for tonight's public hearing for proffer amendment 01-2022 for Macaulay Park LLC?
I would first like to introduce Barbara Trimmer. She's new to the planning department. She's our planning secretary.
Welcome aboard.
Then we'll get to the proffer amendment. This is two amendments to proffers that were done some years back, back in 01 and amended in 017. And originally, proffer C1 was for 108, I think it's worded housing units, but it was approved for 108 apartment units. So we need to change, approve that for a density restriction no more than 120 townhouse units may be developed within parcel 2, as shown on the Macaulay Park townhouse bowling area plan. And then the other one to be amended is the exterior walls, visible portions of the exterior wall surface, exclusive of the windows around the foundation of multifamily buildings shall be of fiber cement board, hardy plank siding, brick or brick veneer construction, vinyl siding or cement siding. Building construction shall be in accord with the 5-page conceptual elevations to be altered as needed to meet county requirements. And we've got copies of those as well. So just under the brief PowerPoint here, that is what I just read out to you. Okay. And of course, this is the preliminary plan showing the proposed 120 townhomes. Okay. And then of course, this is the location, Sheldon Place, and the park is right across the street. Okay. And just another GIS view of it. And then the future land use map, which shows it's in the high density area. And some pictures of the entrance. And then of the property. And this is one of the elevations that's proposed. And this, you have recently approved the CUP for the townhouses. And I tried to get some information on what the difference would be townhouses versus apartments. So I talked with the Commissioner of Revenue, and when you have a townhouse, you have a building lot. So each building lot, and this is an estimation of 28,000. Each townhouse approximately would be valued at 250,000. An apartment doesn't have a building lot value, it just the land itself. And we were estimating like the apartments across the street, their value is 53,000. So it is a substantial difference going from apartment to townhouse. I was trying to get that prior to, but just a little bit of information. We do have the applicants here. Do you have any questions for them?
Okay.
If they want to speak.
Yes, would you all want to say something before we ask questions?
No, sir. I think unless you want me to talk, they just,
Does anyone have any questions before we open the public hearing?
I had some for Sherry, but I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead.
You had mentioned, I caught what you were saying at the beginning, you said the original, it shows us what they're changing it to, but I was hoping maybe we would have a copy of what it was, but you said it was
Well-
8 apartment units originally, and they're changing it to 120 townhouse units.
We have it in the
I thought that's what it
packets.
was. Yeah, I thought I've seen it.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit more
It's here.
townhouse units, but that doesn't really matter. And then what was the original? Were there more surfaces available in the original, or is this match our, that we didn't like the metal and all that kind of stuff? Is that what was taken out? I it's not a big thing.
So this is what the original,
Okay.
when it was revised in 2017. Exterior walls, visible portions of exterior wall surfaces, exclusive of windows above the foundation of multifamily rental buildings, shall be of fiber cement board, hardy plank siding, brick or brick veneer construction. Visible portions of exposed foundations of multifamily rental buildings shall be of brick or brick veneer construction. Building construction shall be in accord with the 5-page conceptual elevations to be altered as needed to meet county requirements, copies of which are included as part of this application and incorporated herein by this reference and attached to this ordinance as Exhibit 2. So it makes reference to rentals. These would not be rentals.
So it's not really changed, just clarification. That's exactly what I want. Thank you very much.
That previously you said was fiber cement board, hardy plank, siding, brick or brick veneer. Now we've added vinyl siding or cement siding. And one thing I'd like to know is what is cement siding? Is that different from hardy plank?
I'm going to refer that to the applicant.
Hardy plank is a type of cement siding. So there's some other cement type sidings that just aren't called hardy plank. So
Same,
same material, same composition. Yes, sir.
the other question I've got is the planning commission is, do we want to allow vinyl siding of these? Is that a,
Within that development, what is the majority of the
Majority.
final? Yeah.
the majority of the homes are vinyl?
Yes, sir.
I think that pretty well answers that question. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question. In regards to the buffer, I saw a 30-foot buffer. Was that between Route 30 and the nearest townhouses, or?
She can pull it up
If you
here.
pull it up,
Yeah.
I think for reference, for some reason, I think it was 50 feet off of Route 30 and 30 feet off of
Go down to, go
the
back up.
Shelton Place.
Actually, yeah, it shows
Someone
75.
Yeah, I knew it was larger off of Route 30.
And so that's going to be, is the plan to leave
There we
what
go.
vegetation is there, or will you plan on adding additional vegetation to that?
Tell what
It's
this
really
is.
heavily wooded now, and we're hoping to keep all of that there. When I bring up any utilities through that area, the utilities are coming from the residential subdivision now, coming up that direction. And we already have the water lines in, so we won't need to disturb that. But we think the natural buffers, because they're fully fully grown.
So in your opinion, if the, being that portion, it would be the rear of those townhouses facing Route 30, would you visibly see from the road?
I think this time of year you will, just because, as you know, the foliage is down, but I think during summer and spring, I don't think you would.
Mr. Chairman, ask me a question, it's gonna be continued or?
Oh, absolutely.
I was just wondering, like I said, you raised it from 108 to 120. I was wondering why you added more. And then also I noticed in plans from before, there was drawings for a clubhouse and a pool. There's nothing in this new. Why was that all taken out of the new thing?
In the, part of the reason is us changing from the rental format to these being owner occupied units, was that amenity package really wasn't necessary, wasn't part of our plan for in there.
In the beginning either, or now? In the beginning or now?
Now,
Right, that was something, I just, between the board and us, I think the townhomes would be more conducive to having a clubhouse and a pool like the ones at Kennington now for the owners to have better than rental units, but that's just my opinion. And it seems like that you think that the townhomes don't need that. I thought that might help the community a little bit, but that's something that we can discuss.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, are there any clubhouse facilities in that development?
no, sir. No, sir.
I would tend to agree with Mr.
Yeah, the expense of that on 120 units is pretty severe. Kennington has almost 500 units in there. And that's, we've had to actually do outside memberships in Kennington just to make it survive. So with 120, with an apartment type rental situation, you could do a smaller amenity package because it's all governed by one owner in the apartment situation. This with 120 units, it's hard to spread those costs of that type of amenity over just 120 units.
Other questions for the applicant? Okay, well, if you'll stay up front, what we'll do, I'll open up the public hearing. We don't have a conversation with the folks that speak, but they may raise questions that warrant us coming back to you or Ms. Graham for additional questions.
Okay.
So if y'all have nothing else for the applicant. Okay, then, at this time, I will open up the public hearing for the request for proper amendment 01-2022 from Macaulay Park LLC. And so speakers will have 3 minutes as individuals, 5 minutes for a group. We'll start with folks here in the room. There's anyone that would like to speak either for or against the amendment to the proffers for Macaulay Park LLC. Anybody? Okay, well, you have a little more time. Anyone online like to speak? Ms. Grover?
We do have one individual, Mr. Midget, to speak.
Ms. Midget, welcome. Can you give your full name and either address of the district you live in?
All right, I am Richard Travis Hunley. I'm a part of Macaulay Park. I live at 311 Abbey Court, which is off of the entrance with Chenault where the proposed property is going. Did y'all hear that?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just have a couple of concerns, couple of questions about everything that's going on. With the, obviously our community is private. It's a private community, it's private property. Are there gonna be anything implicated in this that's gonna like maybe keep some of the traffic down beyond this facility or this property that y'all are gonna be putting up?
We can address that and anything else after you finish, but go ahead and continue.
All right, and another thing, this y'all are trying to put a pool in there as well, a clubhouse?
No.
No, there will be no pool. That's right now.
Okay, and is this gonna be section 8 at all?
Okay, so we can address all that after. Any other comments, questions you may have?
Yes. So I understand that the creek behind the property is not protected by the Chesapeake Bay Act. It is protected, and the map parcel backs up right to it. So what are we gonna do to keep the landscape beautiful? What are we doing for the environment? And also, as a teacher and a care provider, we're adding 120, that's 4 people per house at least, maybe. Can our school system accommodate 240 more kids? We have teachers, we have substitutes, like our school system is really struggling right now, especially with COVID and the mask mandates, and you're gonna add all that. What else? Our creek is protected by the Chesapeake Bay Act. But also I'm curious about how much land in between the houses and like the future builds. What are we gonna do to keep it safe and clean? My children go back there. All of our children go back there. I have an entire community in this room right now. What else? Would you like to speak, Nelson? Do you have a question? Carl, would you like to speak?
If someone else would like to speak, I need your name and either your address or your.
Kristen Midget, 93 Macaulay Court.
Is there anyone else in the community there that would like to speak?
Kyle Midget, 93 Macaulay Court. We purchased this house to move away, to get out away from things. And then we bought this house in August and then started to receive letters saying that this build was going to happen shortly, like a month after we moved out here. And it was a great surprise to know that like they're trying to build this big of a community right across adjacent to my property.
Adjacent.
So I gathered a few people that are here that live in this neighborhood that will be affected by this build. And we're very concerned as citizens of Macaulay Park.
And Kristen Midget, also, I'm curious as to why the rest of the community was not sent letters and informed of this build until very recently, because this has been going on since at least September 30th of 2021.
My neighbor, I live in 93 Macaulay Court, never even received a letter saying that this call or this Zoom or this meeting was even happening.
As well as our colleagues that are present and neighbors.
we will be letting everyone know.
All right, thank you very much. Anyone else would like to speak?
I would like to speak, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead. Your name, please.
Sure, it's Ben Shoemaker, and I reside over in District 4 off of Terra Alta Drive. I basically just wanted to say I was kind of in favor of it. I heard that, and I may have some previous commission meetings mixed up, but I thought we had already previously approved for apartments. I was really excited to hear that townhouses were going to go up instead. So I'm much more encouraged to hear that there's, because typically I think townhomes are a little less dense than apartments. Anyway, I was kind of in favor of the townhomes in lieu of the apartments. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Shoemaker. Anyone else? Anyone else here in the room? Seeing no one, I will public hearing. And Mr. Shoemaker is correct. We had already previously in 2001 approved the apartments that Ms. Graham spoke of. And he was also correct that the conditional use permit had been approved earlier, as Ms. Graham put in her presentation. So all we're doing tonight is looking at the proffer amendment. He raised a few other questions. Mr. Rogers, would you like to speak to like the creek and that sort of thing?
Yes, sir. Along the creek is.
Take your mask off, make it
Oh,
easier.
I'm so sorry. Along the creek is parallel to the creek, 100 feet off is an RPA, which is a resource protection area, which basically we cannot disturb that area, other than there will be one sewer line that comes through there, and that's permitted, but it won't be cleared or anything like that. So that area will be left the way it is today. And then in addition to that, if you notice where the neighborhood is if you're seeing the site plan, the homes that the homeowners were talking about is well beyond that, on the other side of the creek, and that the buffering in addition to the RPA is pretty significant, and we took that into consideration when we laid out the townhouses to make sure that we stayed as far away as we could from those areas.
Thank you.
And I can't remember the other questions, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, this neighborhood obviously comes in right, this townhouse community will come in right off of Route 30. There will be no reason for any through traffic through the neighborhood unless they're going to visit someone, I guess. But so we're assuming that people will come in off of Route 30 right there, and then to get to Food Line or wherever else they just use that road. They're not going to be, there's no connection point in the back of the neighborhood to go anywhere else. Those are all dead end streets. There shouldn't be any through traffic coming through there.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I would entertain discussions, further questions. Anybody? Yes, Mr. Greenwood?
I hate to bring this up again, but I mean, I guess you're the same group that we're going to do the apartments, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we have in our packet your original drawing that shows the clubhouse and the pool on the original piece of property at the entrance. And you're saying you didn't even have any idea about a pool or clubhouse before, so I'm still kind of concerned about why that wasn't, you said it's not cost effective, but if it's effective for a few apartments, I don't know why it wouldn't be effective for townhomes, which should be more luxurious and cost more. People there would probably want to say, I see where you're coming from. The Kennington one, I didn't mean to be like Kennington, maybe that, I don't know what size this one is that you drew on here, but maybe it's not that big, but you're saying it won't support it with the residents because you don't have enough people going to Kennington now, but I just throwing that out to the board.
And I'm sorry if you misunderstood. I did know that we had that as part of the apartment proposal.
But it was effective for 108 apartments. It's not effective for 120 townhomes.
Yeah, and I just thought that the preference would be to have 120 townhouses than 108 apartments, and that's why we're asking for the zoning. So
My only other question would be to Mrs. Graham, as far as whether there were any other, anyone else that came before, for or against, that had come to staff.
The only one that I have talked with was Mr. Mitchell.
That's the only question I have right now.
This end of the table?
I have nothing further.
Right, going back to the pools, so, a lot of apartment complexes offer pools and amenity, and again, having individually owned townhomes. I've seen the advertisements, my wife and I have contemplated, getting a membership to Kennington Pools across from my subdivision, we never have, but I understand how you can put the subdivision 5 times the size as this one, the difficulty in making that sort of thing work. So I do understand why you did not include that in this proposal. So, with that,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just a point of order. I don't think you closed.
yeah,
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine.
Okay, thank you.
I think, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Okay, move on. This one goes, that's it. Sorry.
no, I've been doing a lot of that lately, so I thought I had it right this time, but I've made enough mistakes. It's quite possible. The further discussion, anybody? All right, at this time, I've entertained a motion to recommend denial or recommend approval. Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the offers be approved as.
Okay, I've got a motion to recommend approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion properly seconded. Would you all call roll, please?
Mr. Wagner,
Yes.
Mr. Greenwood. Mr.
I'm
Greenwood,
gonna have to abstain at this time. I don't have enough information.
Okay, that's fine.
Mr. Sluter.
Aye.
Ms. Height
Aye.
and Mr. Braden.
Aye. Thank you very much. We've recommended approval with 4 ayes and 1 abstention. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good seeing you again. Okay, next item is listed as adjournment. Are there any further discussions that y'all would like to have? I know you're probably already tired of seeing me from Monday. You'll be seeing me again 3 times next month, so probably we can make this a short night. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.